Welcome friends to one more episode on the series on executives. This will deal about an audit as to why an audit is required in the first place. You may be aware that many companies conduct audits, thereafter finalize an annual report and then give it to the public with the name of the auditor printed therein. Now, why is it required? The first thing that comes to mind is what are the types of audit. The most important and generally used audit is the concurrent audit, which is basically done on a daily basis or periodic basis. You have got a quarterly audit, half yearly and yearly audit. The quarterly, half yearly and yearly audit are generally on the accounts, book of accounts, and that is based on the financials of the company, and that is used as a reporting mechanism to report to the exchanges or to the public at large. Now, what is it that an auditor is expected to do? He is expected to run through the processes that the company has put in place to ensure that each and every process of theirs is followed. Followed in the sense not just what the company has given it to him or her, but processes in terms of what is it that is expected of him in terms of spirit by the regulator concerned. So it could be either SEBI or RBI or any of the other regulators that are operating in the country or outside of the country if that company follows dual reporting system. One more thing the auditor needs to do is also look at the procedures that are in place to see that they are in line with the processes and in line with the expectations from the regulators. The most important aspect of an auditor is to look for consistency. Any activity where a manual process is involved is prone to inconsistency because different points in time different people operate. The understanding and the knowledge base of each person is not the same. There could be somebody who may be having 20 years experience, there may be somebody who may be having 20 days of experience. So the look of the situation from each of them would be different, the perspective would be different. If somebody of course were to follow the processes and the procedures to the T, there would be absolutely no difference, but it's an ideal world that we're talking about. In reality, there is always a issue that could crop up. This is what the auditor is supposed to look for and point out. Now, what is it that he needs to point out in terms of observations? First thing is the rules and regulations, whether they are followed or not. Rules and regulations laid down by the regulator, by the SRO, or the market infrastructure intermediary like the depository, exchanges, clearing corporations, banks, etc. And also the internal processes of that particular entity. These are all should be in line with each other, and the observations will largely be based on what is mentioned in this, what is the spirit of each of those points, bullet points or the verbose points that are contained there, and then look at whether the activity is done properly or not. So observations are less fatal in nature, in the sense that it could be something that can be improved upon. It's not a life threatening or company threatening issue, but it needs to be managed in the sense that the next time the procedures are changed so that the same error or same observation is not raised by the auditor concerned. The more fatal and disturbing fact for any employee of the company, especially the top management, as also for the auditor, is the non-compliance. Non-compliance is where there is a blatant misjudgment on the part of the staff, or it's simply that the process and procedures written by the company to follow the rules and regulations in spirit and in writing is not at all followed in that particular instance which has been lifted. So non-compliance is something which needs a deep dive into seeing how is it occurred, is there some way by which we can do something to ensure that it doesn't happen in future, and these non-compliance are taken seriously by the management in their audit committee reporting. And also many people try to justify as to why it's non-compliance, but then the auditor needs to be very clear, very strict in terms of saying no, this is a non-compliance, we will not be compromising on this. This is the most important aspect. The next would be improvement. This is where the auditor can go beyond his call of duty and say these are all the improvements that one can look at. The auditor should not only point out areas which needs improvement, also the possible solutions, so that it is easy for the staff as well as the management to dwell upon it and then decide whether they want to live with the existing process and procedures or look for improving it by way of implementing the improvements. These are all the important aspects of a good auditor. An auditor who does large number of companies would generally be very adept at handling all these things. Thanks.